Welcome to this UGC Net English Masterclass. Today, we are tackling one of the most important and often misunderstood concepts in post-colonial literary theory, Homi Bhabha's concept of mimicry from his seminal essay of Mimicry and Man. If you are preparing for the exam, this is a high-yield topic you absolutely must master because it changes how we read colonial texts. Let's break it down. Let's start with a simple definition. What exactly is colonial mimicry? During colonial rule, the colonizer demands that the colonized subject mimic or copy their culture, language, and educational systems. To understand Bhabha, you must understand the historical context. Think of Thomas Babington Macaulay's infamous 1835 Minute on Indian Education. Macaulay explicitly stated the British goal to create a class of people who were Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. The British believed this was a way to civilize the natives and make them easier to govern as administrators. But here is where Bhabha's genius comes in. He introduces a famous paradox. For mimicry to work, the colonized subject must be, in Bhabha's exact words, almost the same, but not quite. Think about that for a second. The colonizer wants the native to act English, but they do not want the native to actually become English. If the colonized subject achieves perfect equality, if they are truly the same, the entire justification for the empire collapses. Therefore, a gap, a fundamental difference, must always remain. Because of this gap, mimicry produces what Bhabha calls ambivalence. The colonizer feels superior, but also deeply anxious. And this leads us to the most critical point for your exam. Mimicry is not just submission, it is a form of menace. It is subversive. When the colonized subject perfectly recites Shakespeare or wears a British suit, it acts as a distorted mirror. It slowly turns into mockery. The mimic man exposes the artificiality of the colonizer's supposed superiority, quietly dismantling their authority from the inside out. To really cement this for the exam, let's look at how this appears in the literature. Take Caliban in Shakespeare's The Tempest. Prospero teaches Caliban language to civilize him, but Caliban uses that exact language to curse Prospero. That is mimicry turning into menace. Or consider Dr. Aziz in E.M. Forster's A Passage to India. Aziz tries so hard to adopt English manners, going so far as to give his own collar stud to Fielding, yet the British still view him with suspicion. The mimicry highlights the unbridgeable gap between the colonizer and the colonized. Ultimately, this process of mimicry doesn't just leave the colonized subject in a state of imitation, it leads directly to another major concept of Bhabha's, hybridity. Because the mimic man is caught between two worlds, a third space is created, a brand new cultural identity is born that is neither purely the colonizers nor purely the colonized's. When you see questions on the UGC net asking about the intersection of cultures or the third space, you are looking right at Homi Bhabha. For your exam strategy, memorize that logical sequence. It starts with the intent of Macaulay's Minute, moves into Bhabha's concept of mimicry, turns into menace, and results in hybridity. Master that flow and you will easily eliminate wrong options on paper too. We've covered a lot of ground today, and if you want my full written study guide on Of Mimicry and Man, click the link in the description to read the complete article on a2zliterature.com. Hit subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's lecture on the complete British literature timeline. Happy studying.